Hello everybody, it's Justin! Okay, this game is called Nidhogg, and it is amazing. You'll see how amazing it is as you're watching the gameplay. It's so good, oh my gosh. Great party game also, but you're trying to get from, not trying to defeat the person, you're trying to get from one side of the screen to that goal, and the other person is trying to get to their side of the screen, which is their goal. And it's just about fighting between those two goals that you're trying to get to. There's a sermon in that. But anyways. Okay, so this time around, the Lord is saying that, and I saw a vision of it too, that he said he's putting down a new foundation. Like I saw a cornerstone, and it was the cornerstone of Christ, and it was just this new foundation that was being built. And it just kept on expanding, you know. And I believe that I saw it just getting huge over in places like Russia. I know that sounds, you know, well, how can that happen? You know, Russia is the communist country and blah 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 blah. But God, hush. We've seen God do more radical things, okay, or just as radical things. So I don't know why we try to say that, you know, God can't work with those people or that government or that whatever it is. You'd be surprised what he can do. Maybe you shouldn't be surprised what he can do. But anyway, and that's been prophesied over before. I think Bob. Oh gosh, I forgot what his last name is. Maybe Bob Jennings or something like that. I don't know. I think, but he was a guy that prophesied that before, like back in like I think in the early 2000s or whatever, you know. But anyway, saw it over America. I saw expanding out. I think a little bit even in Israel. I saw expanding out in parts of South Africa. I saw expanding out in like a small piece of it, and even in Japan, and maybe I saw a few parts of it even in Australia, and it was just like a movement that was just sweeping through, you know, these key areas and everything. And I'm sure there could have been more, you know, but I'm not geographically prone. But in some areas it's bigger, and other areas it's smaller. But the fact is that there's a really strong movement that's happening in terms of this new defining features of the church that's going to be leading, the identity of the church is going to be leading into probably I'd say into the last of it. And I'm not saying that the last of it, because we've always been in the end times, you know, since Jesus basically announced it when he said he's going to be back. So everything beyond that is the end times, if you really think about it. But the last of it is what I'm kind of calling it. The last of it is, you know, when the span of time he actually is going to be, you know, coming back. And I'd say I'm sensing that's more like, you know, a couple of 100 years. Not long, but everyone's kind of like, it's happening like this year, you know. And, you know, really listen to what God's actually saying and what he actually sends in your spirit. I mean, he even told a friend of mine that was very, very much, you know, thinking that, you know, it's going to happen any minute now. It's going to happen this, because the whole blood moon thing was happening and all this type of hysteria was happening and everything, you know. And the Lord was trying to tell him, you know, you've got longer than you think. That's what the Lord told him. You've got longer than you think. Because what happens with that is that I've discovered this, is that Christians don't plan when they sit there to think that the end of the world is going to happen all the time. They don't plan. They do nothing to think about their future or nothing to think about their calling, because they're just so convinced that, you know, well, because things are so bad that, you know, God's going to be coming back any minute now. And you're going to sit there on your laurels if you think that all the time. There's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of what you can help your neighbor, or there's no sense of fulfilling the calling that God's placed in your life. There's no sense of urgency to do any of those type of things. Why? Because I'm going to sit back and let Jesus take us all up to heaven. You know, like, you know, you can get so detached from that you become no earthly use. You're so heavily minded, you become no earthly use. Because, well, he's going to burn up all in like 5 minutes anyway, so, you know, what's the point? Which I think is an attack of the enemy. Because people have been thinking that way since the book of Acts. Since the Bible was written, Paul had to address this in letters saying that you don't know. So always be vigilant, always have a sense of urgency. That's why he wrote that. Always have a sense of urgency. You do not know. And that people are going to be saying that, you know, and Jesus is saying this, you know, there's going to be people who are saying that, you know, hey, it's always, you know, the world is going to keep on existing as it always has and everything, you know. So we know it's going to be long enough to where people are kind of like, the world's going to be kind of like, meh, that's not true. And we know it's going to be, but we know that there is this sense of urgency to accomplish the things that we're supposed to be accomplishing in terms of what commissions that God gives us. So this whole attitude of, you know, meh, it's not that urgent, you know. I'm like, it might be, might not be, but you got longer than you think, but it's not to the point where, you know, you can just kind of kick back your shoes and let Jesus handle it and all and beat up all the bad guys that you don't like in your life. You know, he's saying for you to engage in that. For you to engage in that. So it kind of sounds contradictory. What I'm saying is that, you know, you got longer than you have, so chill. I'm not saying to chill as in, you know, again, not have a sense of urgency, but I'm saying that you have time to fulfill what God has asked you to fulfill. And if it's in your heart, chances are that you're not going to be, I guess what the word is, interrupted from said task. You're not going to interrupt it like that. It's not that you're going, you know, you go, God, what's my step one? Tell you to step one. Okay. Then the next day you get raptured out. Like, you know, there's been people who have died young, but at the same time too, the amount of work that they put in, I mean, really at the end of the day, I think they really just kind of accomplished what they were accomplishing. So, you know, I think that's the biggest takeaway from any of that is that they accomplished what they're supposed to be accomplishing, and now they leave. Nabil Qureshi, apologist. He was a guy who was looking for, well, he was a Muslim, and he was a different kind of Muslim, you know, basically. I forgot what type of Muslim that he was, but he found Christ, you know, in the search for finding more identity with the Muslim faith and everything. And so he ended up finding Christ and converting. And he had put in so much work. He had done so many things. He was just an extraordinary guy, and he recently died of stomach cancer. But the amount of work, the volume of work, everybody's mourning him. You know, everyone in the apologetics avenue is just mourning this guy, and they're setting up foundations and things like that. You know, all these things. You know, he has left his mark on the world. Same thing with Miles Monroe. He's left an extraordinary body of work, but he died in a plane crash. So, but saying all that to say this is that you've got time. Like, calm down. Good God. You've got time. There's gonna be this really amazing revival that's going to involve a lot of media and a lot of these amazing things, and you get to be a part of it. So don't just, you know, blow that off and say that, you know, Jesus is coming back, so it's never mind. You know, there's this full movement that's happening, and time to join in. Get yourself fit, get yourself ready, get yourself, you know, prayed up, get yourself exercise in your body, because those are important things as well. You know, God can't send you where you're too unhealthy to go. So God's not going to send you where you're too spiritually immature to go either. So well, you might have you learn on the way, but you know, the body thing is a really important thing. So, you know, it's time to just not worry about all these other little details that you're thinking that you need to have control over, and just go where God's telling you to go. Point blank, period. Doggone it. Alright guys, that is my time. You can look at other ways to support me in the links in the description below. God bless you guys. God take care. And this is really exciting, guys. Like, there's going to be this new movement starting here. I've been talking about it for, gosh, almost a month now. He's just giving us the information about this. So I'm really super excited about it. So look at some of those other videos before. And God bless you. Take care. And bye-bye. Thank you once again to my Patreon supporters. It means so much to me. Just look at them. Just look at these people. Just look at it.